Hi guys, welcome to another Divi theme video. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. We've got a continuation from our last video today. In our last video we did the scroll effect with this section that's coming up from the bottom here. We had a little robot fella zoom in with a module there, and as we scroll down he's going to disappear. Similar sort of thing today. If you watch this parallax section that's coming in the bottom, we've got a lady that's going to come in from the left there, and a button that's going to appear and stay there. Of course, they can hover over and pop the button if they want to. And if we continue down, that little lady's going to disappear. And of course, it'll do the same in reverse. And we made it fully responsive. We've just changed the settings a little bit on tablet and mobile. If I hit my F12 key here. Now let's go down a bit. It's just coming into view there. There she is coming in. There's our little button. And it'll disappear out when it gets to the top there. That was on an iPad. Let's have a look on an iPhone. We scroll back up. There she is right there, sliding in. There's our button. And they're disappearing out at the top. And that's a really eye-catching thing to have on your site. Now, there's no coding involved in this at all today. So let's get started. I'm going to enable the Visual Builder. Okay, once enabled, let's roll down to where we want to work. And we'll delete this section and we'll start from scratch. Blue tab for a section. I'm going to hit the little trash can. Let's add a new little section. I've got a section above and below, so we've got a bit of scroll room there. To add a new section, just click on any section, hit the little blue button. I'm going to add a regular section to mine. I'm going to add a single row. I'm going to use an image module. I'm going to click on the placeholder there. And let's add the image. I've got a transparent PNG of this woman here. As you can see, it's got no background on it. That'll enable us to create the slide-in effect. There she is right there. Doesn't look like too much on its own. Once we slide it in, as you can see, it's going to look quite good. Now, when we hover over, we've got this crazy number there. This is an AI-generated picture from Night Cafe. If you want to change that or get rid of it completely, in the image module, go to the Advanced and to Attributes. Here you'll find the title text. Now you can change it to something pertinent. If I hover over now, it says woman. Or you can get rid of it completely by just deleting that. I'm going to have mine completely gone. I don't want it to say anything on there. Great. Well, let's throw our background in for our little section here. Remember, it's a dark tab for a module, a green tab for a row, and a blue tab for the actual section. I'm going to go into the section by hitting the little cog. Always find background under content. I'm going to click on it. Let's add a background image. Third tab along. Hit the little plus to add a new image. And I think we used this one before. That's great, but she's kind of floating up in the middle of everything. What I'd like is for the top of her hat. That's actually a straight line there. The top of her hat looks like it's cut off, but that's not too bad. I'd like that to come up all the way to the top of the section and the bottom to be resting on the bottom of the section. So to do that, we're going to need to take the padding away from the section and the row. If we go over to design, we're still in the section module here. We can always find padding under spacing. We put a 0 in the top there. That'll take it up a bit. If I hit the chain, reduce a bit on the bottom. We've still got a bit there. That's going to be actually in the row. So to get rid of that also, we can go into the row and do exactly the same thing. Design, spacing. Put a 0 in there. She's resting up against the top there. And we'll do the same for the bottom. Fantastic. Okay, well, let's just say this. I've got the background I want. I've got the image I want, but I want this image to slide in from the left-hand side, and then we'll add a button that's going to appear in the middle here. So to do that, I'm going to go into the image itself, the dark tab for the module, over to the Advanced. If we roll down to the bottom, we've got scroll effects at the bottom. Now I want to use a horizontal scroll so she comes across from the left-hand side. So that's the second tab here. We've got vertical scroll, horizontal. We've got fading in and out. We use a bit of that when she disappears off the top of the screen. We've got scaling, which we used in our last video, rotate and blur. I'm going to use the horizontal. Got to hit the little switch to turn it on. And we've got a little viewport or timeline here. Viewport bottom is the bottom of the screen. Viewport top, obviously, top of the screen. And you can decide what you want to happen. Now I want her to start at the bottom of the screen. I want her to come in from the left-hand side. So I'm going to make that a real big negative value. I'm going to say negative, we'll try negative 15. That's almost there. Let's try a little bit more. Let's see what 25 is going to do. Maybe too much. That's actually quite nice. I'm going to leave it on 25. Then when she gets to the middle here, I don't want to get that far in. I want to get here so her hand's almost in the middle. So to about there. Oh, about there, I guess. There's the middle line with our little purple button. So about there, so our little button can appear there. Maybe even a little less than that. So at the mid offset, I'll take that back about -5. I'll try that. I think that's what I used before. So when she comes up, she's going to stay right there. That's perfect because we'll have a little button in here. And I want her to stay there all the time. So let's make it -5 at the top as well. That way when she comes in, she'll stay there all the way up. Fantastic. Just what I want for that little image. And we need to check this on tablet and mobile because we'll need to adjust it a little bit. So let's hit this little symbol. If you don't see it, just hover over the dark writing. This is common to all Divi modules. You'll see some little icons appear. If there's a little mobile phone type icon, we can change the tablet view. And if we roll down, there's our top one. Here's our second one. She's coming in, but she's not coming in quite far enough. So let's adjust this. Let's take it back down to the bottom. I'm going to make that -20. So I think she's rolling off the screen a little too far there. -20, that'll bring her across a little bit more. And then I don't want her quite as far. Let's try -2.5. And obviously you want to adjust this to taste. Let's make that a point, not a 0 in there. There we go. She's coming in there. That's going to work for me on this particular device. So she's starting off. She's going to come in as they scroll up. I don't want her to go out, so let's make sure this is -2.5 as well. -2.5 when she gets to the top of the viewport there. So she's going to stay there. Fantastic. And let's just check it on mobile. And I think she's going to be covering the button, whatever we do on this one. So she's off the screen and she's coming in, and she's not coming in quite far enough again. So let's adjust this a little bit more. So maybe take this down to -1.5. Of course, you're going to want to adjust yours to taste. So she's going to end up in the middle there, and the button will be on top of her. But in this case, that's fine, because I'm going to make kind of an opaque button. I've got +1.5 there. I want to make sure I've got a negative because she's going off to the right-hand side of the screen. Now, of course, if you want that to happen, that's fine, but I don't. So let's make sure that's a negative value there. Great. So she's going to come in. The button's going to appear right here, and then we're going to make her disappear. So I'm happy with that on the devices there. Let's go back to our desktop now. And when she goes up to the top of the screen, I want her to sort of fade out right there. So to do that, we can select the next one along, which is fading in and out. I'm going to turn it on. Now I want her to be fully visible at the bottom. If I do this, she's kind of half faded out there. Let's make this 100% also. So she's fully visible, and she's going to get here. Then I want her to fade out when she's about here. So let's make that a 0. And I think she's faded out a bit too quick there. I don't want her fading out quite as quickly as that. So what we can do is our 50% here has got two little arrows each side. I want her to stay at 100%, perhaps up to about 80% of the screen, which will be about here. So I can grab this right arrow and we can keep her at 100% to 80%. Let's see what happens now. She's going to slide in. She's going to stay there. She's going to go up. She's going to fade out at the top there. That's pretty eye-catching. That's going to work for me. Now that this is working how we want, let's add the button. To do that, I'm going to add another row. Little green button to add a row. I'm going to make mine a single column. Inside, I'm going to put a button module. Now let's put this button where I want it, which is sort of at the end of her fingertips there. We'll put it in the middle. I'm going to go over to design. I'm going to align it in the middle, and we'll come back and style this button in a minute, get it looking how we want. So let's just save our button. I need to go into the row now, the green tab. If you have trouble getting there, because with scroll effects on the front end here, it may jump around a bit, you can flip to wireframe mode by hitting the little purple button there. There's wireframe mode, takes us to the back end. There's our row, there's our button. We can go into the row itself, flip back to desktop mode, go back to where we want to be, which is right about there. Now, while I'm in the row, I'm going to go to advanced. I'm going to go to position. I'm going to change it from relative to absolute. Now it's popped it up to the top. We've got no gap at the bottom there. This is just looking the way I want. I want mine right in the middle. Perfect, just exactly there. So now I need to go back into my button and we'll shape it up the way that we want it. To do that, just go into the button itself. And again, if you have trouble, flip to wireframe mode. There's the button. Going to go in there, flip back. Back down to where we want to work. To make it round, I need to make it square first. To do that, let's go over to our design tab and spacing. Let's add perhaps 100 pixels to the top padding. Yeah, it's going to be too much. That's almost made it a square there. So if I reduce that to 50 and hit the chain so it does the same for the bottom, that's pretty much square to me. So once we've got a square, we can turn it into a circle. Let's close up spacing now and give it the color that we want. To do that, we want to go into the button just above. We'll hit the button that says Use Custom Styles. Button text size is fine. I'm going to turn it right. I think I used more info before. Obviously, under the Content tab here, put in what you want your button to say. And the link where you want to take people with your button down below. Always best practice, if you're linking to your own site, keep it in the same window. If you're linking off-site, open it in a new tab so that your site stays open. Okay, well, let's go back and make it the shape and color we want it. To do that, we want to go down to Button, under the Design tab. Make sure you flip the switch to Use Custom Styles for button to on. Text color is fine. Button background, let's make it purple initially. But I want to be able to see a little of the image through there. So I'm going to click on the field. I'm going to pull this variegated slider down till I see some of the image through there. Fantastic. When I scroll up and down, you should be able to see that image through there a little bit. See the little stars poking through there. And we'll give it a different color on hover. To do that, roll over the button. Dark writing, button background there. This time we're going to click on the little arrow. We've got two tabs, desktop, when the mouse is not on it, and a hover tab. You click on that when the mouse is on it. When the mouse is on it, let's turn it blue. And we'll do the same thing. I want to have a little bit of see-throughness going on there. There we go, something like that. Now, if we want to, we can make it round. Scroll down a little bit. Button border width at the moment, that's 2. I'm going to take that down to 1. I'm happy with it being white. Border radius, this is how we're going to make it round. I'm going to change it from 3 pixels to 50 and the percent sign. Make sure you put in the percent sign. Oh, we've got a circle there. And just to finish off, I'm going to add a little glow to the outside of this button using a bit of box shadow. So if we roll down, I want to make sure that I haven't actually got an icon going on here, because I don't want the button to change shape when they hover over it. Now I've noticed nothing's happening when I actually hover over here, which means we probably need to change the Z index because this image is on top of it, preventing us from actually hovering on this. We'll do that in a second. Let's add our glow. I'm going to roll down to box shadow. I'm going to use the one with 4 corners there. I'm going to make it white. I'm going to take spread strength up a little bit, so it sort of spreads out a little bit like that. And the blur strength up a little bit. I will blur it out a little bit. That's a pretty eye-catching button. To make sure that it's going to be on top though, we want to change the Z index, make sure it's higher than this one, so that finger will go behind the actual button itself. And also we want to add our little fade in effect and fade out effect at the top. So I'm going to actually apply all that on the row itself. So again, let's save our button changes here. I'm going to go to wireframe mode again. I'm going to go into the row that the button's sitting in and flip it back. Okay, let's change the Z index first. We can do that in advance, and again in position. Here's the Z index. If I pull this up, you see her fingers now behind that, which is just what we want, and I can hover over it and it's going to change color. Fantastic. Now the other thing I want to do is just have it disappear down the bottom and at the top. Let's close that position. We're still under Advanced tab, scroll effects down the bottom. I'm just going to use the fade. I'll switch it on. At the bottom, I want it to be 0. I want it to be 100% in the middle. And I want it to be 0 at the top, so it fades out. But I don't want it to fade out too quickly. So let's move the bottom up to about 33%, a third of the screen. So it shouldn't be visible now until we get to about a third of the screen up. Fantastic. Then it's going to be fully visible when it gets to 50%. But I want it to remain fully visible up to about 75 or 80%. Let's roll this up. Now that's close enough. It's not quite disappearing quick enough, getting back down to 0 opacity there. So let's take this viewport down a little bit closer to it. Something like that. Now it should fade out slightly quicker. Perfect. So what we've got, let's just save that there. We'll take it down from the way we'd be looking at it when it comes up. We got our little lady sliding in. We got the button fading in. It's going to stay there. They can hover over it, click on it, do what they want to do. And then they're going to disappear out the top. Now, just to finish off, I thought it would add to the 3D effect if we made our little image background parallax there. To do that, let's go into the section itself where we put that image background on the content. Click on the image, use the parallax effect. There's 2 types to choose from. There's true parallax, which will move it at a slightly different rate than the front, which I think's beautiful. And there's CSS parallax, which would just make it fixed on the background, so that image in the background would stay static. If I just flip it over. And again, that's pretty eye-catching, but I like the true parallax one where it's moving at a different rate there. So I'm going to flip that back. And we should be good to go. Let's save our changes. Save draft or publish if you're ready. And let's exit the Visual Builder. We'll scroll down the site. There's the one we did the other day. And here's the one coming in that we've just done. There's the lady sliding in. There's our button. We can hover over it. It's going to change color. Click on it if you need to. Roll up a bit more. It should disappear out at the top there. And of course, it'll do the opposite on the way back down. And that's a really eye-catching thing to have on your site. If you're rolling down your site, this sort of thing happens. It's going to get people's attention pretty quickly, which is just exactly what you want. And as you saw earlier, it's perfectly responsive. So there you go, guys. There's how to add a Parallax 3D section with scroll effect. Something that should get your viewers' attention very quickly. I hope you've enjoyed this today and found it useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, ring the bell, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget, if you have any questions, pop them down below the video. I'll do my best to answer them for you, or make a little demo video just like this one. Once again, this has been Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.